Hey, it's Golden Buddha here, back with some more RPG horror stories for your listening entertainment. Today we have a story regarding a player who tried to take a thematic element to his character and turn it into something tangible, mechanical, and possibly Jedi-like. Roll post. Give a player an inch, and they'll take however much they need to be a Jedi. I've gotten some pretty good traction for my D&D stories, so I figured I'd share another instance of a player being very, very dumb. I'm running Pathfinder for a different group, but the story only concerns one player, Fencer. He's playing a duelist type character. Gets bonuses if he's using a weapon in one hand with his other hand unoccupied. Since it's already open, he took the deflect arrows feat, which allows a character to negate one hit from a ranged attack per round, as long as they have one hand free, and the attack is from a normal weapon. No boulders, ballista bolts, or ray spells. Before we start playing, he asked me,
"Hey GM, when I use the deflect arrows, can I use my sword for it instead?"
I read the feat, shrug, and say, "Sure, as long as your hand is still free and you're deflecting normal projectiles, you can say that you're using your sword thematically." He thanks me and we get going. If a player wants to reflavor a feat so he can feel like a badass, I generally don't have a problem with it. We're in the second fight of the session when he gets shot at by a sentry in a watchtower and hit. He activates deflect arrows, and I describe to him snapping his blade out and the arrowhead sparking off his sword. I move on to the next player's action, but I'm interrupted when the fencer says,
"I got a 19 to hit. Does that do it?"
I look back at him and ask, "Do what? What are you doing?" He says,
"Did I hit him?"
"Hit him with what?" I ask back.
"His arrow. Did I hit him with his arrow?"
I shake my head, wondering if I blacked out on part of this conversation. "Why are you... It's not your turn. How would you be hitting him with his own arrow anyways? He's elevated." He sighs, like I'm the idiot, and explains,
"I deflected his shot, and since I used my sword, I could launch his projectile back."
A bunch of sputtering back and forth happened next as I try to figure out why in the actual fuck he would think the feat would let him do that because he's using his sword for it, even if he wasn't doing it for flavor. I show him the feat as printed, but he's weirdly adamant that since I let him use a weapon to deflect solely for aesthetic purposes, that means he can bounce back attacks like he's Luke Skywalker. Eventually, I just had to tell him, no, you can't do that. You will never be able to do that. You're being ridiculous. He pouts and then asks,
"Well, can I pick a different feat then? Because if you're gonna make deflect arrows worthless, I don't want it anymore."
I let him. I even let him repick the prerequisite for it, since I just didn't want to hear him talk about it anymore. He got shot at least once around for the rest of that fight, and when I cheekily said, "Man, it'd be nice if you could somehow halt or deflect some of those arrows," he flipped me the bird. Side note, there is a feat that comes after deflect arrows called catch arrows that lets you grab projectiles with the same restrictions. If it's a thrown weapon, you can attack back with it out of turn. Too long, didn't read. Player tries to use a piece of thematic leeway to gain an overpowered version of an ability from later in the game with zero justification or rationale, and is also kind of shitty about it. In post. So yeah, this guy was really trying to just run off with it. Just read your feats. So many people don't read their feats, or try to like interpret feats into different things. If you're unsure about a feat, ask your DM. Don't just like interpret it in whatever way that you think you see fit. Because if the DM says anything about it and you're interpreting one way and he's interpreting it another, that can cause confusion and it can cause butthurtness. Like how it did in this story. Although to me it kind of seems like this guy was intentionally just seeing how much he could get away with. It happens. As for the whole Jedi thing, I mean, if he wanted to like deflect arrows and do cool shit like that, this is Pathfinder, so there's probably an archetype or a class that would let you do that. Because Pathfinder's really like diverse when it comes to just like playing what you want. If you haven't played Pathfinder and you really like crunchy miniature games that aren't Warhammer, I would say definitely play Pathfinder. It's fun. It's fun if you get a right group. Any game's fun with the right group. It's fun. It's fun to learn. That being said, that's about all I have to say. Like and subscribe for more content, and this is Golden Buddha telling you to stay enlightened.